The memorial continues to grow outside TPUSA headquarters in the Phoenix metro. In the immediate aftermath of Charlie Kirk being shot, conflicting reports, rumors, and misinformation spread online. False information about whether he had died, who the suspect was, what the potential motive was. All of that were huge topics of discussion, even though there was no concrete information available at the time. Even now, the disinformation campaign continues. Joining us is Glenn Gerstell. He's here, and he served as the general counsel for the NSA under both the Obama and Trump administrations. He's also a expert in cybersecurity and disinformation. As I said, there's been a lot of rumors, misinformation, and we saw lawmakers, we saw other leaders making claims about who might be responsible, the motive, etc. What kind of harm does that do from a safety perspective and a political climate perspective as these stories unfold in real time?
This is all a very tragic set of circumstances, so it's hard to see a lot of clarity right now. But at times like these, there's an understandable desire to get as much information as possible, to seek the truth. It's why conspiracy theories spread. People start posing ideas about the latest tragedy, whether it's this particular shooting or a school shooting or a synagogue burning or whatever. It's sort of an understandable human reaction. And unfortunately, social media helps propel that. It makes it move at light speed. And so I think one of the things we need to do as a nation is to think more deeply about the role social media plays in spreading disinformation, particularly when it's pushed by foreign sources who help augment and enhance our divisions already. And see whether we're doing the right thing in this area, because there's so much misinformation and disinformation that erodes the belief of the average citizen in the efficacy of government, in the independence of our judiciary, in just the simple ability of our government to solve our nation's problems. And when that starts to happen, and a certain percentage of people believe that government isn't the solution, well, that starts to be the end of our experiment in democracy.
You know, technology and social media advancements are causing these types of posts to reach millions of people really, really quickly. And people also use AI chatbots to quickly gain clarity during breaking news. What steps, in your opinion, need to be taken to get us to a better place? A place where reliable, responsible information is easily and quickly accessible?
There's this sense of fatalism that because of the First Amendment, which makes it clear that we don't want government to be underscoring, to impede in any way of any of our free speech discourse. There's just this sense of fatalism that maybe there's really nothing to do that we can do about it. It's just to throw up our hands and say, this is just the price of being online. But that's incorrect. The First Amendment isn't completely absolute. We want to be very careful about how we approach that, absolutely, whether it's for liberal or conservative causes. But there are other steps we can take, ranging from increasing digital literacy to perhaps looking at whether online platforms should be liable for some of their content. Right now, they're not because of the Communications Decency Act. We can encourage industry to do more to self-police and self-regulate. There are some steps that technology can take, including with artificial intelligence, to help us fight back disinformation. So, as with any complex problem, there's no one solution, but a whole bunch of solutions. Bit by bit, we can chip away at this problem. If we applied the same level of ingenuity to addressing the pernicious aspects of social media as we have to creating their wonderful benefits in the first place, I'm confident we can make inroads here.
So there was a press conference today. We heard during the event that the suspect had communicated on the platform Discord. Discord, maybe you can enlighten our audience as to what Discord is and what role do chat rooms and blog sites play in this? The word radicalization is being thrown around a lot.
So with social media, it's entirely possible, unlike the old days when there were just newspapers and regular TV channels, to hear all sides of a discourse or view. With social media, you can fall into a dark rabbit hole and hear only people who support you, encourage you, and underscore what you're doing. And you're not required to test your beliefs or look at the reality of the situation. And that's quite possible due to some of these chat rooms, such as Discord, which originally started out as a gaming channel for gamers to talk to each other while playing games, has become immensely popular among people under, say, age 20 and 30. It's a worldwide application. The airman who was arrested several years ago for disclosing classified information at a Massachusetts Air Force base disclosed this information to his followers on Discord. That's the group he was trying to persuade and look good in front of. It's not only Discord. Obviously, the mainstream apps such as Facebook, Instagram, X, formerly Twitter, all have a role to play in this. So there's no one app that is all by itself bad. But the fact that it's possible to find yourself surrounded only by people who agree with you, never have to test your views, and you're not subject to question is really what leads people down these very, very bad paths.
So, one thing we got to ask here too is privacy versus security. We're talking about the idea of governments policing these platforms. I mean, what is the way forward with something like this? I mean, that does create a question of privacy versus security, correct?
Sure, absolutely, and there is a tension there. But we don't want to look like even democracies such as Singapore and elsewhere, where there is government involvement and intervention in social media. They decide what's right to say, what needs to be censored. On the far extreme are authoritarian countries such as China, where obviously the government completely controls online discourse. So that's not American. The First Amendment doesn't allow that, nor in any way am I suggesting that at all. And this is not a Republican or Democratic point. We all have an interest in making sure that online discourse is proper and appropriate. There are steps we can take. Government can do some things in a limited way that doesn't affect the content of speech. For example, it's possible for the government to pass a law requiring that foreign disinformation, foreign information, foreign sourced information be labeled as such. It's also possible for government to pass a law that says artificial intelligence or sites that are created by artificial intelligence need to be disclosed as such that they're not a real person. So, bit by bit, there are steps that government can take that don't infringe on free speech, that don't affect privacy, and that also that industry can do the same thing that will take us a couple of steps closer to a solution. We're not going to get perfection, obviously, but we can move more in this direction.
As the news was breaking on Wednesday, the way that many of us found out about what exactly happened was by watching the video of what happened. Incredibly graphic footage being shared everywhere. I would like to know what your take is on firstly what that means for us as a society that is so accessible to everybody, but also can anything and should anything be done to curb or in some way somehow mitigate that type of content being shared so widely so quickly?
So Austin, you've put your finger on it. There is this tension between we want the news to be fully disclosed as quickly as possible and as accurately as possible. There's an understandable human desire to get that information as quickly as possible. At the same time, we want to shield sensitive viewers and others from very excessively graphic information, from erroneous information. I think most responsible organizations, and I put Fox News there, along with the New York Times and the other mainstream media, as well as many online media, have an editorial discretion. They know what's appropriate to produce and what not. That's not going to completely solve the problem, but some level of industry regulation, some sensitivity in this area is important. And again, you could envision solutions, which I'm not necessarily advocating, but they're worthy of debate, which would require that before a post goes viral, you have an opportunity to look at it again, and maybe a pop-up flashes and says, are you really sure you want to share this? Think again. Things like that could be done. No one of these is going to solve the problem, but there are technical solutions that we could embrace technology to help us solve this problem.
Glenn Gerstell is the former general counsel for the NSA under both the Obama and Trump administrations, also an expert in cybersecurity and disinformation. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to hit a quick commercial break. We're continuing to watch these live images of the memorial that's building outside of Turning Point's headquarters in the Phoenix Metro. We are going to take a 2-minute break. On the other side of that, Fox News multimedia reporter Kaylee Schuyler is going to be joining me from the ground in Utah with the latest from the scene of the shooting. Shortly after her, national security analyst and host of the Strat podcast, Hal Kempfer, going to be joining me